Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, today we got an update on the Norwegian sun and what's going on. So as I reported yesterday, the Norwegian sun hit the iceberg, growler iceberg, one of those low ones that is about the size of a pickup truck. And they ended up missing a cruise port. They missed Ketchikan and ended up going to, Skagway is the one they missed. Ended up going to Juneau and said they wanted to check out the damage, assess the damage to make sure everything is okay. Passengers reported saying that the ship was vibrating and there was a lot of noise coming from it, which could mean propulsion issues, propeller damage, something along those lines. And it looks like there is something a little more severe going on with the cruise ship because today they canceled the remaining portion of the voyage and are heading back at reduced speed directly to Seattle, expected to arrive there Thursday morning. Now, a lot of things are going on with this. First off, let's talk about their day in Juneau. In the evening, they were allowed, when they arrived, they were allowed off in the evening in Juneau, and then they were supposed to be actually there the next day, and the captain announced that they would be getting ready for disembarkation and everyone would be allowed to get off. And there were numerous posts on Facebook and Twitter and everything that they were still lined up for hours and never got to disembark. Passengers were not allowed to disembark the cruise ship. Not sure why. Maybe they thought they might have to leave earlier than expected, but they weren't allowed to disembark. So a lot of passengers were very angry. Some actually tweeted that Norwegian has ruined their vacation. They saved up for years for this trip, and Norwegian has now ruined it for them. Okay, let's get a little bit of a grasp. This wasn't a normal situation. Something happened during the trip. This is not something I would come down on the cruise line for. This was an accident. This was probably unavoidable. This type of stuff happens all the time in Alaska. However, normally they're able to avoid those small icebergs, the growlers, because of the fog, because of the limited visibility. And the way it struck, it caused something wrong with the ship, and you cannot blame Norwegian Cruise Line for that as far as ruining your vacation. But then we have to go to the compensation, and I thought the compensation was exactly right for Norwegian. Quite often I come down very hard on Norwegian for taking, sometimes they just offer a little bit of a refund or a little bit of compensation and then the media hits them. Remember the construction cruise that was going on a West Coast cruise, and there was, they were tarring the deck and all the ammonia stuff was going on, and they were blocked off part of the upper decks, and there was drilling and sawing all during your cruise, and people were going, hey, this isn't the cruise I paid for. And the first offer was really bad, and then everybody kind of said, hey, what's going on? And they ended up getting a much better offer. Well, I think Norwegian has learned their lesson and has done some pretty good stuff for these passengers. First off, you get 100% of your cruise money back minus your insurance, right? You never get your insurance money back. You don't pay insurance and then your insurance gives you that money back. No, the insurance you pay for to cover this sort of thing. But even if you don't have insurance on board, whatever you pay for the cruise, you will get back, including any missed shore excursions, things like that. That's a good compensation. Secondly, they are also offering a 100% value of your cruise in a future cruise credit as well. So you had part of your Alaska cruise, you missed quite a few of your ports. I mean, I think they're missing 3 of their ports, which is not a great trip, let's be honest. And if not, some of the scenic parts of Alaska as well. But it was an accident. It's something that happened that was beyond the control of the cruise line. And I will not come down hard on a cruise line for having an accident of this type. If you run into another ship, that's an accident you should have avoided. Or run into the dock or something like that. However, foggy night, ran into a growler iceberg. The compensation, I think, is quite fair from Norwegian Cruise Line, and I give them full credit for this. But boy, it's been a pretty rough fall, like springtime, I mean, for Norwegian Cruise Line. They had the one cruise ship run aground and cause damage to it, and ended up canceling quite a few cruises to get the ship repaired, including more cruises in the future as they send it over for more dry dock work in Europe. And then they hit an iceberg, and it normally would just bounce off, and there's no issues, and this seemed to have caused damage. They're not having a great start to their year. However, also, what happens to the next cruises? We haven't had a report on that yet. Will they be needing repairs in Seattle? Will the next cruise be canceled to Alaska? How many days will this go on? If I was on that cruise next, I would definitely not be counting on that ship sailing, because out of an abundance of caution, the cruise line said they're heading directly back to Seattle, which means something's amiss. They would not have canceled the whole cruise if it was just reduced speed. If they could only go at reduced speed for any reason, then they would have probably skipped one more port, gone to another one like Victoria, BC, and then headed to Seattle, because it's a very short trip from Victoria to Seattle by cruise ship. You could easily get there at reduced speed at like 5 knots an hour. That would not be an issue. However, they're heading already back to Seattle, canceling 2 ports as well. I think something they're looking at, we need to get this looked at, and I think you're going to hear more information come out in the future. And I'd be really saying that next cruise could be really, really risky. And if I had it booked, I'd be calling to find out right away, because if you have hotels booked, and maybe you've done it, if you're like me, you do a website called booking.com for your hotels. Normally that's how I do it. Sometimes I go through the cruise lines. Sometimes but if I'm just booking randomly on my own, I use booking.com, because I have a certain status with that website now, and I can cancel within 48 hours of my trip. Well, I'd be within that 48 hours now to cancel. So I would be finding out, hey, is that ship going? What's happening? And I'd want to know as soon as possible. So that's your news. Yeah, they canceled the rest of the cruise. I think the compensation was fair. And if I was on the next cruise, I'd be concerned that it's not sailing. And even a couple cruises after that, until we see exactly what happened to the Norwegian Sun. Well, I hope you appreciate this update. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world. Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.